So, with the release of the Lone Trail banner, I don't see many people talk about Ho'olheyak. She's kind of a unit that has went under the radar. Many people in the community, from my perspective, have said that she's not a very good unit compared to other units. What do I think about her? I've got to say, I'm kind of disappointed in her. Not for the same reasons that you might think. So, in this video, go talk about Ho'olheyak. Let me know down below if you think she's weak or maybe underrated. Because after 340 pulls to get one copy, I would like a bit of copium to get through this. Let's talk about her skills and talents first of all, so we can just go through what I personally think about her. Like I say usually, this is not a guide, this is merely a video talk about the character. This is just an opinion from someone who is a relatively casual player. Now, Ho'olheyak is a caster who deals arts damage and is part of the core caster archetype. She, funnily enough, has the lowest attack out of everyone in the archetype apart from the 3 stars and the 2 stars. But with how she looks in the cinematic, she looks like she could probably eat every one of them. So, her first time when attacking aerial enemies, she will deal a certain amount of damage and silence them for a couple of seconds. Of course, silence being helpful against certain enemies that could be silenced, with preventing them to do certain actions which might affect your team in some way. Now, her second talent will inflict weightless to enemies with 80% or more HP within the attack range. Weightless basically reducing the weight of the enemies by 1. This is helpful because sometimes you can't lift up certain enemies for as long compared to enemies with a lower weight. But my one problem with this talent is the actual condition. 80% or more HP is something that's very tough to pull off because if you do 21% of the damage to the enemy, they already are levitated as long as other units. 21% HP is not a lot of damage. That is pretty much more than half of the HP of the enemy, and the time levitated is already reduced. I don't think she was that strong of a unit where she needed this condition. Personally, I would either reduce the condition to maybe 50% or just get rid of the condition entirely, but that's just my opinion. But let's talk about her actual skills then. The next attack targets one additional enemy and deals a certain amount of arts damage. If only one target is attacked, levitate the target for a certain amount of seconds. This can actually have charges as well, so you can charge this up over time. Now, there are 2 positives to the skill and 1 big negative. First of all, if there are 2 enemies there, you'll be able to attack both of them at the same time with this skill. And the levitate on the skill is actually the longest levitate that we have with her skills, if you ignore the amount of times that the other skills attack. Now, the major problem with this is if there's more than 1 enemy in the attack range, she will not levitate any of them. Yes, her whole kit around levitating will be pretty much useless, and she's pretty much just there for damage with this skill. Not only would I recommend not using this for damage, but the fact it can't levitate enemies if there's more than 1 of them is already something that's going to be very niche in most cases. Now, I have to very quickly interrupt here and just say we're going to be doing a giveaway on my channel for a free 6-star selector on Arknights. If you're interested, I'm going to leave the information down below in the description. TLDR, go ahead and drop a like on this video and join my Discord down below. In the Discord, you will find the giveaway info there and how to actually join it. This will last for about a week as of uploading this video. But anyway, let's get back into the video. Now, skill 2 will attack 9 times, dealing damage to random enemies within attack range. Every attack has a percentage chance to levitate the target for 1 second. Now, if you like gacha, this skill is for you because it's very RNG. Not only will this skill attack random enemies in attack range, unless you have 1 enemy, it is kind of hard to know who is actually going to hit, but also the chance of levitating at mastery 3 is only 15% chance, which means after 9 hits, sometimes you might get lucky, most of the time you'll probably get unlucky. There will be times where you might not even levitate a single enemy once. Of course, this does attack quite frequently, which does make up for it in a sense, but this has only 1 second levitate. With the lower chance, with the 1 second levitate, and the random enemies being attacked, I think maybe you could use this against like single enemies, but for me personally, I'm not a massive fan of this skill. I think it is a little bit too RNG, at least for me. Now, talking about her third skill, the one that looks very cool, I've got to say in terms of design, I love this skill. The tornadoes look very, very cool. But let's talk about this skill. This skill will expand the attack range, increase her attack interval, and actually change the attacks to whirlwinds which will travel forward. These will actually deal more damage proportionate to how far they go, up to a maximum of 3 tiles to increase damage. Once the whirlwind actually hits an enemy, on the first target hit it will levitate that enemy and deal a certain amount of arts damage depending on how far the actual whirlwinds went. Now, the skill of a 5 block range is pretty decent, and the fact it throws out 3 tornadoes horizontally makes it a little bit more usable since it's not just 1 tornado being thrown. I think in very specific situations the skill could actually be pretty decent, and also in like IS or SSS when you have certain buffs This skill can be a lot of fun because she will just keep shooting out tornadoes. It's not only hilarious to watch, but it's also pretty good in general because you will just keep levitating enemies. And you know, I'd probably say it's worth it because SSS does give a lot of great rewards like module stuff and module blocks and... Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was making this joke and I just realized you can literally get rewards from this. Like, there is literally rewards you can get for doing SSS. What? But as you can expect, there is a problem with this skill, at least for me on a personal level. After trying to use this, I found it actually quite difficult to use on certain stages. On certain stages, when you try and use these tornadoes, if there's several enemies coming through one lane, you will only hit the first unit in front and it will not go through the enemies. So pretty much if a tornado just disappears on the first hit of an enemy, I would have actually loved if this maybe kept going, maybe hit a particular area, and if enemies walk through it, it would actually work at least for a couple of seconds. Personally, for that reason, I'm not a massive fan of this skill, even though I do prefer it over her other skills. I think this one generally is a bit more fun if you can find the right scenario around this. I think with certain support operators, that could help her reach her potential a bit better, or just allow her to become maybe a more damage-centric unit, or you could just use this with a team alongside other levitate units that maybe you could find some cool strategies alongside that, you know, use Quinplat, be of levitate there, maybe some future units will have levitate as well, use Irene, any unit that levitates could allow her to maybe be a little bit more fun. But before we move on, I think I've just realized something. I think it's time for my favorite segment. We have Arknights lore. All of you love it, I love it, everyone knows I'm an absolute expert when it comes to Arknights lore. I've totally read the story, it's not like I've skipped everything in the game. Here's a very fun fact that some of you will find super mega interesting. Did you know that Texas and Lapland actually know each other? Now, to give my final verdict on Ho'olheyak, I've got to say, I do understand why people aren't a massive fan of her. The general sentiment, like I said before, is not very good for Ho'olheyak in the community. In my community, people don't really rate her that much. I think if I had to rate it out of 10, solely for the fun of it, this is not a direct rating in a serious way, I would probably give her a 6 out of 10. Mainly because the 6 is there because she has a fantastic design. I love her design in general. If she worked differently and she was a lot more usable, this would probably be one of my more favorite units that actually released this year because she looks so cool. Her first skill just has such cool animations. If she was live 2D and she was a limited unit, I would be 100% trying to get her. No way I wouldn't miss out on her. But in terms of her skills and her actual talent, she has a condition in her talent which just is a bit more difficult to pull off, 80% or more HP to levitate 4-way enemies. Maybe you can make the arguments they're going to be too broken against certain enemies, but at the end of the day, she should be a good unit. I think units should be good, it should be a lot more usable. With her skills as well, the first skill doesn't even levitate enemies if there's more than one of them, which is kind of going against her actual whole levitate kit, because this is basically just DPS. But her second skill is just too RNG for me to physically use it realistically. Third skill is pretty decent to an extent, but I do think it could have been designed a little bit differently to actually make this a little bit more enjoyable to use, especially with it just disappearing on the first hit. Of course, the levitate does offer something at the end of the day. It does slow down enemies since they lift them up and they can't move for a period of time, but overall, I'm just not a massive fan of this because I think she could have been much better, especially with such a cool design. Like I said, I do really like her. And heck, while you're at it, you can even make Vigil better. He's already very enjoyable and a very good unit, but he is also a unit that I know a lot of people want to be even stronger than he currently is. But let me know down below what you guys actually think of her, because of course, I'm curious to hear what you guys say. Maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh, maybe some people will disagree with me on some certain things, or maybe people will agree. Let me know down below. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please do drop a like. It helps out so much on this channel. We do also have the giveaway down below. If you want to go ahead and join, go ahead and read the description and subscribe for more content every single day. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you next one. And most importantly, have a wonderful day. Adios.